you were trapped there. You said you almost gave up at that very moment in time. How did you get out?
Well, you know, I say the battle that I was facing at that moment was with my eyelids, because my eyelids would become very heavy, and I would fight with them to kind of open them and say, I just got to hold on. And, you know, in my mind, I was literally thinking in my mind, just hold on just long enough to possibly give somebody an opportunity to pull me out. And then my two sergeants, you know, were able to kind of find a way to get me out without them being severely injured. I mean, they sustained some burns on their hands and their arms, and they grabbed me and pulled me out. And I remember laying on the sand and my sergeant holding my head in his lap, and he was rocking me as if I was a baby and telling me that I was going to be okay, that I was going to be fine. And, you know, those words are supposed to comfort you, you know, when you hear that. But it's not the words, it's the way they say them. And I sensed fear in them, and I was going through this pain, and then all of a sudden I was put on the helicopter. And because they said that, you know, I was going through too much pain and I was fighting off the medics because I had this adrenaline going on, and plus because I had inhalation damage from the smoke, let's just put him in a medical-induced coma, get him back home, and that's the best way.
And really quickly, just for medical takeaway for viewers, so often people think of fires and they think that you actually die from the burns, but you hit the nail on the head. I mean, smoke inhalation is usually the initial insult.
Right.
And so this is all occurring, but you're probably, even the ability to breathe.
I was gasping for air. It's almost equivalent when people ask me, what's that like? And I say, you ever go swimming and you're under the water trying to see who can hold the breath the longest? And you come out of the water and you're, and that's what I was doing for the time that I was trapped inside the truck with, trying to get air, trying to gasp, and of course I'm inhaling everything. When I got to Germany, of course in a medical-induced coma, they cut my stomach open just to make sure that everything inside was intact, nothing was damaged. And you know, and then eventually I was brought to San Antonio, Texas, to a hospital called Brooke Army Medical Center.
Well, we as plastic surgeons, we know that that's sort of the mecca, the gurus for burn care, burn reconstruction, and 30% burn is a big burn.
Yeah.
But in your case, your face, your hands, probably the most delicate parts of your body. I know you had to go through numerous operations.
Yes.
You spent, what, 34 months?
I spent 34 months there. My doctor's saying we got to do these skin grafts. So the parts of your body that aren't burned, now we got to take the skin from that area to put it in a place that is, you know, burned, to the point where they started talking about tissue expanders and, you know, and
well, I just happened to bring one of these here today. I think you can relate to these.
I'm definitely familiar.
This happens to be more of an expander for breasts, which we use for breast reconstruction. But we saw in the picture they had these all over the place for you to stretch parts so they could get more skin as donor skin to use, but also to stretch to help get some of that burn tissue off of your body. So it's these are a great tool that help us today in dealing with
because I had this bad
patients.
scarring on, you know, because if you look at my face here, which, you know, this is the bad side, but all of a sudden there's, from the scars, there's a drastic line. It stops and it's nice skin. It's really smooth, you know, good skin. This skin is from my chest, and that's what the expander did. It stretched the good skin that I had, they pulled it up, and there's a picture, I mean, you know, and then the reason why they put it in my head was because I was so adamant. Growing up, I had curly hair, and the girls loved playing with my hair. So I wanted my hair back. You know, there it is, along with the mustache.
So what they did was they expanded that so there was room on your scalp so they could cut out the part that didn't have hair and move in the
drag
part.
it over. And then all that work, and here I am bald. You know,
it suits you. I know they love the curly hair.
I've accepted it. I've embraced it.
You look good with hair without hair.
Just let it ride. And you know, that was the difficult part. I was 19 years old when I was hurt, you know, and now my world was upside down. I didn't know how I would be able to walk out in the mix of people in society and live a normal life. And I thought, you know, here I am, like I have these things in my body, and it just looks weird, and I have no life. And it literally just came down to one day my mother just giving me a really, you know, heart-to-heart conversation and just telling me that to be patient, believe, and over time, you know, the answer would come. And it was that initial thing, and then there were some nice little things that happened in my life where people, I can sense that they had a lot of love for me and energy, and it just kind of inspired me. And then I started developing mentality. It's like, you know what? I'm going after it. This is my second chance, and I'm going to make the most of it.
Bonus round.
Yeah, absolutely.